can see the starter, it's kind of hard to see, but it's in there. And so we're going to have to remove a few things. First thing is to disconnect the battery cables and then remove the cover, the engine cover. Okay, you can see that I removed the cables. They're now loose, and I've removed the cover. I'm also going to remove this particular cover here. Very simple to do. And to have more access to that starter, I'm actually going to take out the battery. Just give me more real estate to move around. As you can see, it's pretty cramped in there. Okay, so I'm going to simply remove the cover. This simply turn counterclockwise with a screwdriver, and this pops right on out. Alright. Okay, using a 10mm socket, remove. Okay, so I loosened this bar, and there is one on the other side, which now that this is loose, I can go ahead and play with it, jiggle it until I loosen it. Okay, then I pulled out the battery, and I want to get rid of this cover. So it's connected, or it was connected right here. Make sure you remove this. I used a needle nose plier, squeeze, pull out. So I gotta detach it. Tilt this to the side and pull it out. Okay. These hoses look like they're in the way. I hope I don't have to disconnect them, because that'll be a big pain. So let's remove these little ties here. And it looks like the starter is a little more exposed. We're going to have to start removing some of the bolts. Okay, so underneath this hose here, you'll see a cable terminal that goes to the starter. We'll have to disconnect that one, and also disconnect this other cable right there. Okay. Okay, I'm using a 12mm socket. For the other connector, I used my little pliers there, and I pulled it out. So I have this now, these two disconnected. Okay. From looking at this, I'm anticipating that I may need to remove my transmission dipstick. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do that, just to get it out of the way. I took a screwdriver and I loosened the little latch there. It is attached to the starter. So it's detached. Now I gotta figure out where the bolts are. I think that's one of them right there. I also detached this hose clamp and pull off that, put it to the side here. I got a feeling that this hose here is going to be in the way. With this one I don't think will be too much of a problem, but this one might be. Okay. So this is one of the bolts I need to remove, and there should be another one underneath on the other side. Can't really see it, so I'm going to have to feel my way around and find the other side and loosen a bolt. 14 millimeter is what I'm going to be using. So I'm going to start with the bottom one first, and then I'll move to the top. Address the risky one, the more difficult one first, and then the easier one after that. So, because there's very little leverage and it was pretty tight, I tend to use a pipe, you can see here, to loosen it, which is what I've done. So I slip this in, and gives me more leverage. Okay, the bolt's now loose, and you'll notice there's a little metal washer, a type of clamp thing for that wire attached to it. So I gotta remember to put that back in. I was able to loosen this one. This one's not as bad to take it out. Hopefully the starter will then completely loose, so I can just start pulling it out and working it out. Hopefully not having to remove these or unclap these hoses, because I don't want all the antifreeze to spill out and have to go through that mess. But we'll see. Okay, I decided to loosen this connector here from the base to try to push this hose on top and over, so that I can have more room to take the starter out. You can see the starter is now, loose. So now I gotta work it out. So you can see I took the hose and I pushed it over on top of the lip of this pan, so it'll stay out of the way. But I discovered that I'm not done disconnecting this wire. But I think once I disconnect this cable here, that the starter is going to be able to simply just pull right through. Okay, so let me go ahead and disconnect that cable. Okay, to disconnect this, I stuck my screwdriver in here and flipped it, so pushing that little tongue there out, and then I pulled forward, and it slipped out of the little attachment there, slipped out of that. Alright, so now I think I can pull the starter completely out. You can see there, it's coming out. Okay, the starter is completely out. You can see the two bolts that I needed to take out, and the attachments, the cable attachments there for the battery. It is now completely out, and hopefully the installation will be as simple as the removal has been. Okay, just to show you the flywheel in there, and the teeth look good. That's where the starter was. It was making a lot of noise when you started the car, and I was having problems where it would take 3 to 4 tries to turn the car on. Yeah, but it gave me ample of warning. It was getting loud when I would turn on the car. So I noticed a YouTube video that showed the symptoms, and it was exactly the same symptoms I was having. A loud start, like it continued a roar of the starter.